Welcome to the greatest podcast in sports betting entertainment. My name is Tanner Curd, certified G, bona fide stud, and you can't teach that. And this right here is G Money Grant Mitchell. We are here breaking down everything you need to know about the Week 5 NFL slate. And you can't teach that, bada boom, man. The people in the room, G Money Grant Mitchell. How you doing?
Tanner, I'm doing really good, man. It's been a really good start to the NFL season for me from a betting perspective. I went 500 with my spread picks last week, but fortunately for the Ride the Line viewers here, went 4-1 with the picks I shared on the show. And I have not had a losing week yet this season. So we're a month in, haven't had a losing week. I've really got nothing to complain about.
And then I'm out here giving out interception prop gems. Absolute gems. Baker Mayfield interception, knew it was going to hit. The ball did get tipped, but it was a dumb decision by him. He should have just taken a sack. And then Jake Browning was flawless last night. No interceptions. They were given plus 160 for that by kickoff. Jake Browning to not throw an interception. That's disrespectful. Anytime you get an NFL quarterback to not throw an interception for plus 160, you have to take it. There's just no ifs, ands, or buts.
I wonder what the odds for Bo Nix to throw a pick were too, because as bad as the Bengals defense is, right? Don't get me wrong. Great defenses can force interceptions, but a bad defense can still get an interception off of a quarterback who's prone to throwing interceptions. You know, your Bo Nixes, your Geno Smiths, your Tuas, the guys who are going to throw it doesn't really matter how good or bad the defense is. It's just a bad decision every once in a while, and that can lead to an interception.
Well, if you would have told me who is more likely to throw a pick last night, Bo Nix or Jake Browning, I genuinely would have said Bo Nix. And I know that sounds crazy, but when I look at Bo Nix, they're going against a defense where they can throw 15 interceptions to still win the football game. The focus and the intention didn't have to be there. Where for Jake Browning, coming off what he did a week ago against the Minnesota Vikings, you knew he was going to be locked in. And again, they didn't really move the ball much. He made some nice throws, but overall, there wasn't a lot of opportunities to throw interceptions just because it was pretty much 3 and out, quick drives the entire night.
Yeah, and Bo Nix has at least one pick in 3 of 4 games this season. Last year, he closed the season with playoff game. He didn't have one, but in his final 5 regular season games, he had 6 interceptions.
You know what, too? Zach Taylor, he's a terrible coach. I'm on the Zach Taylor bad.
One of the worst in the NFL.
He calls the game with Jake Browning the same way he would call it with Joe Burrow. I remember there was a drive where they backed up early in the game because my buddy was complaining to me because he took an alternate spread on the Bengals, which obviously didn't hit. And he's like, Jake Browning sucks. Jake Browning sucks. A lot of procedural penalties last night, obviously. But, they take a shot down the left sideline. They take a shot down the right sideline. Then you got a guy like him in 3rd and long who threw 15 interceptions last week. What are you doing? Try to run the ball a little bit, help him out, which they kind of got to at some point in the game. But, he still thinks Joe Burrow's playing quarterback for him.
Well, I mean, even when Joe Burrow was there, it's not like he was calling the game correctly either. I agree. I think it just speaks to him not being the coach. And I don't think this is breaking news to Bengals fans. Even though they got to the Super Bowl, I can remember Bengals fans that season complaining about Zach Taylor. And it was kind of just Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase and T. Higgins elevating them.
And it's also crazy too. And I realized this over the weekend. I don't know. I went to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers game. So I was sitting there thinking about this, and I watched the Penn State game, and I watched Drew Aller cry in the post-game press conference, and I watched Alabama and Georgia. It's amazing how good these guys actually are in the NFL. Even Jake Browning. It is mind-blowing. It's also crazy to think about. There's not 32 legitimate quarterbacks in the world. That's another crazy thing. You see these guys at Alabama and Georgia and Penn State. The majority of those guys are going to sell insurance after their career ends, which is crazy to think about to me. Not everybody from the SEC goes to the NFL. And that just hit me this weekend. I don't know why, but it did.
I mean, there's no way Gunnar Stockton right now, he's not getting drafted. I don't see how that's possible. And he's a top 5 Heisman favorite for Georgia.
He's like a Jake Fromm. That's who he kind of reminds me of. He's a guy who could play a year or two, 3-4 years, make some starts. Gunnar Stockton's low-key a dog, though. I will give him that.
I mean, he has dog mentality for sure, but he's not playing in the NFL. No way.
Tough loss for Georgia this weekend. There was no NASCAR driving on the streets. The boys went back and just played some Xbox. They weren't racing cars after that loss.
You know what's funny? So we're talking about good coach and everything, or bad coaches with Zach Taylor. The thing that really struck me over the weekend with watching that Georgia game is when I think about some of Belichick, and granted it's a little different because Brady and them still won a bunch of Super Bowls, right? But these old coaches who are just very set in their ways. And Kirby Smart's been extremely successful. One of the best coaches, probably the best coach in college football. But it's like they refuse to adapt and evolve. And I think in some ways that's why a coach like Andy Reid has been so good, because he will evolve. He will change with the times. But I'm watching Kirby Smart and I'm watching Georgia play Alabama. And you know who the most important person on the field was? It was Ryan Grubb, Alabama's offensive coordinator. He was excellent, coming out with a whole bunch of different personnel packages and formations, trick plays, aggressive, throwing screens to your offensive tackle, even the game-ending play where it's like a fake rollout left, reverse it, and you've got a tight end completely uncovered in the flat, some of the running stuff. It was so innovative. And Georgia, the Kirby Smart superpower is he can figure out any offense as the game goes on. And he still did that, but his offense was archaic, and that's kind of how it is. So I look at a guy like Kirby, and it's not just Kirby because great coaches do this, but it's like they get so stubborn and set in, oh, this is what we do, that they forget to innovate. And that's how you lose to a team like Alabama, who came out there with a better game plan.
Well, also too, and we don't need to spend too much time on it, but Georgia just made critical mistakes. You can't turn the ball over inside your 10-yard line. You can't drop a clear touchdown pass. Like, there were moments in the game where Georgia had opportunities to go out and win it. Now, with that being said, I think if these two teams play in the SEC championship, which based on the odds seems unlikely, Georgia would smoke Alabama. And I do think Alabama's got a shot to lose to Vanderbilt this week. Like, Alabama does not take care. Alabama goes on the road and takes care of big games. And I know Vanderbilt's coming to Tuscaloosa, but Alabama does not go to, Alabama goes to a 6-6 football team on the road. That's where they struggle. They don't struggle on the road against Georgia's. They struggle on the road against dog water teams. And I think we'll still see that. This win did not change my opinion on Alabama at all.
Yeah, this is what I've said about Kalen DeBoer. I have no doubt that he could beat Oregon. He could beat Penn State. He could beat Ohio State. He's clearly one of the best minds in college football. Heck, he might be the smartest coach in college football. He can win the big game. Can he put up with that grind of a whole season, though? That's what we're waiting to find out.
He's not built for the South. Kalen DeBoer needs to go. Anyways, Grant, before we talk about a little Thursday night football, and actually before we plug the WSN socials, I wanted to bring this up. Did you see Taylor Swift turn down the halftime show because she doesn't work for free?
I didn't know the reasoning, but I did see that she was not going to do it, which was a huge shock because she was like, I want to say she was like minus 400 or something to be the halftime performer.
Yeah, it was crazy. Bad Bunny's doing it. Is Bad Bunny even big?
He's massive. He's we're talking about
Hispanic though, right? It's like a big Hispanic crowd.
Yeah, if we're talking about global audience, I want to say he's probably like number 2, number 3 most streamed artist in the world.
Absolute dog water music. Let's
get he definitely has fans here in America, don't get me wrong, but Taylor Swift does appeal more to an NFL audience, I feel like, than Bad Bunny does.
I don't like Taylor Swift. I don't like her music. I'm not just not a big Taylor Swift person. But if she was doing the halftime show, I would genuinely be interested in the halftime show because I think she's going to put on a good performance. But the NFL's got some audacity to offer her the halftime show without being willing to pay her. They change their damn Twitter bio every week she's at a game, and they've done it for years. Taylor showed up. Taylor's here. That Chiefs Taylor Super Bowl run, the NFL made so much money off her, and they have the audacity to say, "Hey, the stage is yours if you want it." She doesn't need the Super Bowl stage.
No, she doesn't. And I guess the Pandora's box there is if you offer to pay her, then you got to offer to pay everybody else from here on out. And they don't want to do that. I thought it was going to be Post Malone.
That would be good.
Yeah, once Taylor said no, I thought it would have been Post. I get it. Again, Bad Bunny is massive, but I don't see him appealing to the NFL demographic as much as some other people.
Post would do an awesome show. That would be great. Anyways, though, you know what else is great? WSN.com, the World Sports Network, the place that you need to check out. We got sports betting picks and promo codes, articles going up every day, every game of the NFL season. Make sure you guys check that out. That's linked down in the bio. And Grant, tell the people why they need to subscribe to Ride the Line podcast.
Yeah, 100%. Like we said at the top of the show, 4-1 on my spread picks that I gave out here. Tanner got his picks right. He was getting interception picks. I don't really know what other YouTube channel you're going to find that type of stuff on, but make sure you do hit the subscribe button. And you know what? Even if you're not into sports betting at all, which, come on, everybody loves a little sports betting, but if you don't, well, we're still talking about games, talking about the biggest matchups, reacting to big news in the NFL world and beyond. So always make sure that you are tuned in for our videos. We got like 5-6 videos coming out a week right now. Plenty of content to keep you entertained.
Plenty of content. So the show starts here with a little Thursday night battle. We're talking about the San Francisco 49ers traveling to Los Angeles to face the Rams. You're getting the Rams -5.5 right now. Total set at 46.5. The San Francisco 49ers coming off a really disappointing loss last week. Brock Purdy just coughing the football up against the Jaguars down the stretch. Rams coming off big win over the Colts. Tutu Atwell, 88-yard touchdown. Rams are one of the best teams in the NFL right now, Grant. So how do you see this one playing out on Thursday night?
Well, I don't think they're only one of the best teams in the NFL. I'm going to start with a scorching hot take right here, Tanner. I think they're the best team in the NFC. I think the Philadelphia Eagles in 2025 are the Kansas City Chiefs in 2024. I think they are so clearly flawed. I think they're playing below their level. I think they're like hiding behind a good record almost.
Wait. That still doesn't make sense though, because the Eagles are 24.
No, the Eagles right now are the Chiefs of 24, the Chiefs of last year.
The Chiefs went to the Super Bowl last year.
They did go to the Super Bowl. And that's kind of what I'm saying. That's what I think. The Eagles could get back to the Super Bowl this year. I think they'll be in the conference championship game, but I don't feel like they're that great. The Chiefs all of last year, what'd they go, like 15-2 or whatever it was? And the whole year we were like, they're getting away with one-score games. They block a field goal as time runs out. Mahomes isn't doing this. The whole year you were like, this is not the Chiefs we're watching. I don't know how they continue to win games. Yeah. Jalen Hurts didn't complete a pass in the second half.
The Eagles
won. The Bucs, if you look at the statistics, and early on in the game, the Eagles were dominating. The way it finished, we can look back on it and say if they don't block the punt and return for a touchdown, then the Bucs win. But like if you actually look at the stats, the Eagles had 200 total yards of offense in that game, and they still found a way to win.
I do want to say though, that game, it's a little deceptive from the stat sheet because like the Bucs did not drive the field. Like they had big play to Bucky Irving down the sideline, big play to Emeka Egbuka, where Egbuka like put his hands up and the ball went right into it. Like the D-back should have picked that off. The Bucs, when they crossed the 50, they weren't able to execute. The Eagles defense was really good when they had to be. You know, you still look back on the game, the Buccaneers had 2 chances in the fourth quarter to go and ultimately win the game. They also had a chance when they were down 4 to go in and take a lead, but Bucky Irving fumbled on his own 20-yard line. So it really was not a good performance by them, but the Eagles defense still made all the plays they had to. My biggest concern with the Eagles is just the overall culture. I don't think Nick Sirianni is a good culture guy. Like, I think he fits Philly, but also when we see what's going on with A.J. Brown after the game, like you've won a Super Bowl, A.J. Brown, you make $32 million a year. You should be happy just winning a football game. We don't need to tweet out like I'm ready to quit, basically, which is kind of what that translates to. I think the Rams are a more connected football team, if that makes sense.
It definitely does. And I do think the Eagles are good. Like if we've got Eagles fans listening to this, I'm almost complimenting you by saying your team continues to find ways to win when they definitely shouldn't. They should not have beaten the Rams. They should not probably have beaten the Buccaneers, but they did, and they're now 4-0, and that's what championship teams do. Same thing we were saying about the Chiefs last year. So I say all this to loop it back into kind of where I started at. Even though the Rams lost that game against the Eagles, like how we're looking at the Eagles right now after that win against the Bucs, that's the same path we were on with the Rams when they played the Eagles. And then it's 2 blocked field goals in the fourth quarter. And that helps the Eagles come back and win this game. But I think the Rams can play with the Eagles. I think they're better than them. I think they're just, like you said, they're connected, but they're complete. When we talk about this team, we talk about Matt Stafford and Puka Nacua and Devontae Adams. I want people to actually appreciate what is going on the defensive side of the football, because the Rams defense is actually, if we look at the statistics, it's ahead of where the offense is right now. The Rams have a top 5 defense in the NFL right now. They're good against the pass. They're good against the run. Kobe Turner, Byron Young, Jared Verse, like these guys are animals. And don't get me wrong, they can still get better too, because Emmanuel Forbes is a liability at corner. Cam Curl had a really great game, 2 interceptions, but he can be better. So if the Rams we get to like that trade deadline and the Rams realize, hey, we've got a Super Bowl window here. We know the F them picks mentality. They could go make a big trade for, if Miami's looking to blow it up, maybe they go get a Minkah Fitzpatrick. Whoever it is, there's moves to be made to upgrade this team still.
It's just crazy to think too that, last year at this time, we were talking about the Rams being a seller when it came to Cooper Kupp. Ultimately, he's not on the football team anymore, but like they were trying to deal Cooper Kupp potentially, and then they make a run all the way to the divisional round of the playoffs in a game that they really should have won. I mean, if you don't let Saquon have 205 yards rushing that football game, you probably go on to win it. Also, kind of concerning for the Eagles. Teams are keying on Saquon Barkley so much, and they're not able to open up A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith down the field. So like I look at I look at the Eagles offense right now, and I do think they're going to figure it out, but the Rams are a more complete football team. They're playing better football, and it was an impressive win against the Indianapolis Colts. And that's a really good, that's a quality opponent in the Colts this year.
So I've got several units down on Saquon under 1,500 rushing yards. Through 4 games, he's averaging, trying to do the math here, he's averaging just about 59 yards per game with 3.1 yards per carry. So I'm feeling good about that.
What's that pace at? 59 times?
Well, he's at 237 divided by 4 times 17, puts him on pace for 1,007.
And he won't even play in the last game.
Probably not, yeah. And I'm not wishing this on him, but good chance he gets injured at some point, just because that's the nature of the beast with running backs.
Misses a game or something. That fake tush push, I did love that. I didn't love it watching it, but I'm surprised they don't use that more because I've only seen him do it a couple times.
Yeah, I remember once or twice. They have one variation where Jalen Hurts runs out to the left. I think I'd seen this play before, maybe like 2 or 3 years ago. But to your point, they kind of have to keep it tucked because they have to continue to run the tush push to make everybody realize or believe that it is the real thing. But whenever they pull this play out, it's basically an automatic touchdown because everybody's just diving up the middle.
Definitely. So Grant, we got a 5.5 point spread in this game. I'm going to be leaning towards, it's a hard one to pick because 5.5 is a lot of points in a division game. I'm still going to lean towards the Rams. I think their offensive explosion is just going to be a little too much for the San Francisco 49ers. You look at Brock Purdy last week, looked out of sorts. Christian McCaffrey continues to be like the check down guy for him, which I don't know if that's necessarily going to work long term. I love Ricky Pearsall. He left the game last week with an injury, assuming he's going to be healthy this week.
He's
questionable. So if he doesn't play, I mean, I would 100% be laying the 5.5 points there. But I think the Rams just overall better football team, offensively, defensively, and I could see this one going in their favor by a touchdown, especially at home.
Yeah, I was wondering how the 49ers defense was going to start the year. They started the year very well. I didn't love the Michael Williams pick, although he had a lot of potential, obviously athletic potential. He started the year playing well, but he's banged up. CJ West, the guy he drafted, he's out. Obviously, Nick Bosa is out and Mustafa is out. There's just injuries are piling up for the 49ers, and it's not exclusive to defense either. We know George Kittle's not playing. Ayuk isn't there. The offensive line has been drastically underperforming. Pearsall and Jennings both questionable. Both have a chance to play. Not like questionable means out, but maybe it is out, or maybe they get banged up early in the game and they got to leave. And Brock Purdy, in both games he's played this season, 2 touchdowns in both of them, 2 interceptions in both of them. That's not how you win games. And I get it. It's short week, Thursday, divisional game, but it is in LA. Not that I guess really matters in this game in particular because the 49ers might still have more fans in the stadium. But even still, I do think this sets up for the Rams. Could be close, like you said. Definitely acknowledge that. This could be a 3-point game easily, but I would be taking the Rams at -5.5.
Well, my fear is the Jaguars just are not that good of a football team. I know they're 3-1. I understand they're 3-1. I can't get behind the Jaguars, though. So the fact that the 49ers looked as bad as they did last week against the Jacksonville Jaguars, multiple chances to win, multiple turnovers, you really didn't get CMC running the football effectively at times in that game. It's hard for me to lean towards the 49ers in a bounce back spot. This is a tough spot, short week. You're going on the road. 5.5 points it's a big spread, but it's not crazy to think that the Rams aren't winning by 7. So I'll take that. I also think if I'm looking at totals in this game, I probably go under on the 46.5. I think if this game plays in favor to a Rams cover, I don't see the 49ers keeping pace. So I don't think they're going to put up a ton of points. And I would say take the under there as well.
Well, the real big question, and I'm surprised we haven't gotten it to it at this point, is who you got in the fight between Robert Saleh and Liam Cohen?
That was crazy. That was wild. Just out of nowhere, Robert Saleh is like praising him for stealing signs, basically like legally stealing signs. Like that's what he said in his press conference. Like he still signs, but like it's legal. But that's got a negative connotation to it. So you got Liam Cohen reminds me. I don't exactly know. We talked about goofball coaches on here. I don't know who we've brought up when we've talked about that though.
He feels like a movie character.
He doesn't feel real. Like he's a great football mind. Like I do think he's an elite OC minded head coach, but he strikes me as a really good offensive coordinator for Baker. Him and Baker must have had a blast. He reminds me of Freddie Kitchens.
I can see that. Yeah, 100%. Just like a guy's guy.
Yeah, he's a guy's guy. He's a cool dude. Like I think he's probably a fun head coach to play for, but like he's just a goofball. And maybe it's because of how he said Duval when he got there, but he doesn't strike me as like a Super Bowl winning head coach by any means.
Well, what's so interesting is I agree with you, but if you look at this team now, Travis Etienne's had a really good year, but Brian Thomas Jr. has been terrible. Travis Hunter's been terrible, and they're messing up, sure, but like I don't think they're being put in the best positions either. Trevor Lawrence hasn't been great. It's actually the defense. If you look at the advanced numbers, the Jags have top 2 defense in the NFL right now. No way that's going to hold for the entire year, but it is their defense that's been carrying them, which really does not line up with what we think of Liam Cohen.
And they've also played against the Panthers, the Bengals, and that was
not Saints. Who was it?
Was that pre-Joe Burrow Bengals? No, that was So that was
Jake. That was the game Burrow got injured.
So Jake Browning was the whole second half. Then you got the Texans, who I don't know what's wrong with CJ Stroud. I have no clue. He needs to.
Did you see what Diana Rossini reported?
No, what'd she say?
She basically said there is a very real, tangible issue in the locker room. And it was one of these like, I can't share it right now, but something very real exists there.
With him or just overall?
She didn't specify.
DeMeco Ryans is just, he doesn't strike me as he's a DC. Doesn't strike me as a head coach. Especially with how they've been with him. I mean, if you got CJ Stroud where he was as a rookie and he's where he is now, I blame the head coach. Simple as that.
It's a shame too, because I do like DeMeco and I thought that he was going to be a very good coach for the future. But to your point, this is CJ Stroud's 3rd year and he's gotten worse every year. It wasn't really good sophomore slump bounce back. If your franchise quarterback continues to go downhill, that's on the head coach.
Like he's actually outdone the Trevor Lawrence slide. Like the Trevor Lawrence downfall was like from where we thought he would be to where he is crazy. Like CJ Stroud is setting new records for that.
Well, Lawrence was never great in the NFL either. Stroud was legitimately top 5 as a rookie. Lawrence never got close to that.
No, but we still like I mean like the expectation wise, where they were supposed to be to where they actually are, it's crazy. And I don't know. I don't think there's any recovery for CJ Stroud. If you're bad in your 3rd year is concerning to be bad in. 2nd year slump makes a little sense. Like Cam Ward right now, he's terrible. I don't know what's wrong with Tennessee Titans. He is dog water, but he probably will be a little better next year. If he's not, I don't know what they do. They send him and Will Levis to Mexico, basically, and they get new quarterbacks.
So we got to throw in Tyler Shuck in there. Let's not forget about him.
Yeah, but like you're picking on a guy who shouldn't even be drafted, which is not nice. Like he should be playing in the CFL.
Back to this Thursday night game here. So I got a couple of player props that I want to share. So my first one, Christian McCaffrey under 59.5 rushing yards. Like you said, he has just become the check down god, but also he's not been running the ball effectively. And you can say, well, that's because they've had a backup quarterback or Purdy's been turning it over. You can say it's because of injuries, and all of that does play a part in it. The offensive line has also been bad. So I'm not saying this is entirely his fault, but what I can tell you is he hasn't rushed for 70 yards in a single game this season. He's gone under this line in 3 straight games, and he's now going against a Rams defense that ranks 9th in, or maybe not 9th, but it is top 10 in yards allowed per rush attempt. If you look at EPA per play on run plays, the Rams are in the top 5. So a very solid run defense, bad offensive line. McCaffrey's not performing, and we both think the Rams are going to cover here. So what does that mean? It means you got to go throw the ball to keep pace. So yeah, give me McCaffrey under.
I like that. I will take Matthew Stafford over 37.5 yards for his longest completion, coming off the 88 last week to Tutu Atwell. I think that's a pretty sharp play. A lot of deep shots down the field against 49ers defense, so I think he's going to be good there. I also really like, when I'm looking at receiving props, I think it's going to be Puka Nacua over 27.5 for his longest reception, so I'm going to pair those up, 31 yards there. Looking at rushing props right now, don't have a ton. I don't use Bet365 as much like Grant does, so he has the props there, but that's what I got on DraftKings so far. And then FanDuel, we're still waiting for props as well.
Yeah, and by the way, guys, if you are looking to get some promo codes for any of these sportsbooks, make sure you go to WSN.com. We do have them over there, so things like bonus bets, profit boost, safety nets, all that great stuff. You can get these bonuses before the games kick off on Thursday Night Football, so make sure you do get them over there at WSN.com. My second prop that I like, Tanner, and I like the Stafford over, don't get me wrong, but I'm actually going to go with the under on his game line, which is at 243.5. I do love Matthew Stafford, but I just think the Rams are going to be in control of this game. That's kind of what it boils down to me. I lost my words there. That's kind of what it boils down to for me. There we go. That's what I'm trying to say. And if Purdy's going to throw another interception or two, it's going to set the Rams up in short field. That naturally just creates fewer opportunities to pick up the yards. So I could see Stafford, going for like 160 in the first half, and he's got that big completion, and the Rams kind of just bleed the clock out, and he ends up going under.
I got a fun one here. Got a really fun one. Ready for this?
Yeah, let's go.
Either team to score 3 unanswered times. No, plus 135.
Huh. That's plus 135?
Yeah, I would think the yes side would be. Like,
that's wild.
In a division game, like I believe me, I think the Rams are going to control the pace of the football game, but you're telling me 3 unanswered times, it's a lot. 3 unanswered, a lot.
So all that needs to happen is a team can't score 3 times in a row.
Either team to score 3 unanswered times. Yes, minus 180 because they're assuming, I guess they're going to, and no, plus 135. I feel like 2 is kind of where I draw the line a little bit. 3, you're getting into like 17-point leads.
Yeah, and the spread is 5.5.
Either team to score 3 unanswered times. Now I'm trying to comprehend this. Either team to score 3 unanswered times. No, plus 135. So either team to score 3 unanswered times.
This is an awesome pick. I'm betting this as soon as we finish recording.
Plus 135. Plus 135. I feel like that's a mistake. I'll be honest. I feel like that's a mistake. I saw it. I find gems for the people here on Ride the Line, but I saw that. Let's see. Did the Rams score 3 unanswered times? They might have against the Colts, low key.
They did against the Eagles because they got the huge lead, right? Here, you look at the Colts game. I'll look at the Eagles game.
So the Colts game, 2 was the max in the Colts game.
So they got 1, 2, 3, 4. They got 6 unanswered scores against the Eagles.
Yeah, but that's against the Birds. What they do against the Titans? That's what I care about.
Well, they only scored
33.
Oh, no, that was the Texans game where they only scored 14 points. So it didn't happen there.
They did score 3 unanswered times against the Titans. Touchdown.
Right, again, end of the game. So they're 2-2 so far.
Divisional game, got a trade field. And you know what? The good thing is once you break the cycle, then it just restarts,
Well, also it's 2-2, so it's small sample size, but you'd think it'd be minus 110, but you're getting it for, what'd you say, plus 135?
135, yeah. That's crazy.
I'm betting that.
I think that's a good bet. I find winners for the people here, like interception props, team to score unanswered, 3 unanswered time props. That's what I find for the people on Red Line. So smash the subscribe button.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm just kind of blown away by this. I've never seen this market before. This is DraftKings, is that right?
DraftKings, yep.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna go check that out. I'm gonna go make sure we bet that, or make sure I bet that after the recording after the game. Gosh.
Yep. So, any other props, Grant, before we move into our top 5 spread picks of the week?
No, I'm good. Rams spread, McCaffrey under, Stafford under. I'm good with those.
All right, sounds good. So, guys, we're moving into our top 5 spread picks for this week. We give 5 every Tuesday on the podcast. Each of us, sometimes we overlap. Last week, we overlapped a good amount. So, Grant, let's start with you. What's your first spread pick?
Okay. Yeah, we have, I want to think three of the same spread picks last week.
Yep.
I'll start. I'm trying to figure out, do I start with a good one or do I start with a bad one? I'll just go chronologically. Why not? I'm going to start with the early game across the pond. Vikings -3.5 against the Browns. Now, look, I took the Vikings -2.5 across the pond last week. We're moving a little. We're going from Ireland to England now. We're in London. I get it. It didn't work out. I didn't expect Carson Wentz to throw the ball 46 times, whatever it was. He actually wasn't terrible. Now, granted, Carson Wentz still has never met a sack that he didn't like, and he was trying to throw some interceptions. He wasn't awful. I was actually disappointed by the Steelers' ability to create chunk plays against the Vikings defense, which had been the best in the NFL through the first 3 weeks. But this is the thing. I always say that international games are like the great equalizer. They bring everybody to a level playing field. Well, the Browns are going across the water to a new continent after getting their tails kicked in last week. While the Vikings, they've been there. There's no jet lag. There's no adjustment period. Carson Wentz, this is now his 3rd week starting, so he is starting to get into as much of a rhythm as he's going to get into. And I'll be honest, the way that they've been able to run the ball, the way Kevin O'Connell's called the offense, it's Kevin O'Connell. He's a genius. They've got weapons. You can win games with a backup quarterback there. Now, this Browns defense is excellent, and wouldn't surprise me if they get a strip sack or something like that. But Joe Flacco just cannot move. He's giving out turnovers like he's giving away Halloween candy. This Browns offense, Quinshon Judkins has breathed some life into it, but still they struggle to move the ball. They struggle to get in the end zone. They've got so few weapons that I look at this game, the total's 36.5. So the odds makers obviously don't think there's going to be many points, but we can get this to like 17-13 and the Vikings would cover that line. So I will take them, even though they let me down last week.
I really thought the Vikings were going to win that football game last week. Same as you, Grant. I also think too, these international games, I think the NFL is trying to put one over on the international audience. I know this goes against I agree with your spread pick, but I just think too, why don't we send the Chiefs and the Ravens to London? Why are we sending the Vikings and the Browns to London? Let's send a big American game over there. Let's give the international crowd some quality football instead of the Vikings and the Browns, but they won't do that. I don't know why.
Yeah, it is definitely the fact that it's a business decision. The NFL wants those games to be in America. They don't want them to be at 9:30 when nobody's watching.
That hit me too. This weekend. I was sitting there and you know what? I'm like, why are the Vikings getting the shaft having to be in Europe for 2 weeks during the NFL season? That's really hard on you. I'm not saying it's cool. Like we got quarterbacks getting jumped in Ireland. We got backup quarterbacks.
That was crazy. That was crazy.
That was insane. Absolutely insane. But anyways, Grant, I like the pick. I think it's a smart one, and I will be agreeing with it. The Browns defense is great. I just don't think they have the offense to keep up with anybody in the NFL right now. How long till Shedeur plays? Another 3 weeks?
Well, Dylan Gabriel's getting in before him.
You're right. But like nobody's talking about Dylan Gabriel either. There's not one like start Gabriel. Nobody's talking about that. They're saying start Shedeur.
The whole franchise Dylan Gabriel's not the guy for the future. Shedeur's not the guy for the future. They just had whatever pick. They had the 2nd pick in the draft. Obviously, they traded it for Mason Graham, and that was the right decision because you get the 5th pick and you get a future first. So I get it was a smart thing to do. But it's like the Browns are always at the top of the draft board, and they just have not had a quarterback since when? Since Baker, who they traded and is now a top 10 quarterback in the league.
Yep. Speaking of Baker, we'll just start with the Buccaneers. So I will not go in chronological order. 4:06 p.m. Eastern time. We got a little Buccaneers versus Seattle Seahawks game. I'm going to take the Buccaneers +3 at the Seattle Seahawks. Seattle coming off a win over the they play Arizona Cardinals on Thursday night. That was a game where I look at Seattle was much better than Arizona. I still didn't gain a lot of respect for them watching the football game. They left the door open. They didn't shut the door on the Arizona Cardinals. Same thing with the Eagles last week against the Buccaneers. I thought that game was going to be 50-7 based on how the Eagles were playing early on. The Eagles didn't shut the door. Bucs found a way to come back and climb their way back in the football game. Think about Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They just don't give up. They don't stop fighting. I think Mike Evans not being in the lineup severely hurts the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. It was hard for them to get anything going, sustainable, long, sustainable drives offensively. Mike Evans is a guy who you can lean on and rely on. Now it's got to be a Mecca Ibuka, and they got to start getting Kate Otten more involved. And Baker's got to not do dumb decisions, and they got to run the football better. I think they're going to put everything together from that Eagles game, what they could have done better, bring it into the Seattle Seahawks game. Again, I like Sam Darnold. I don't love Sam Darnold. I think if you shut down JSN, you really can be successful going against the Seattle Seahawks teams. And I trust the Buccaneers defense to be able to do that based on how they played defense, especially in the second half last week against the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yeah, so this is actually one of my 5 picks as well. And at Bet365, maybe some other sports books as well. Haven't looked, but you can get this for Buccaneers plus 3.5. So you can lose by a field goal and still cover the spread there. So I do love this pick. Now, I'm a Seahawks guy. They're one of my surprise teams coming into the year. I had the Chargers winning the AFC West. I had the Seahawks challenging for the NFC West. I had the Jaguars winning the AFC South. So I had a couple surprises. The Seahawks were one of those teams. So I definitely do like them. And I think Mike Macdonald's a top 3 defensive mind in football. I think it's Brian Flores, Steve Spagnuolo's up there. And then I think Mike Macdonald's right in that ilk. But with that being said, the Buccaneers defense has been better than the Seahawks defense this season. And they can go on the road and they just, we could talk about how the final score looks and how that game against the Eagles started. They gave up 200 total yards in the entire game. They held Jalen Hurts to no completions in the second half. Saquon to like 2.2 yards per carry. This defense is elite. And Baker Mayfield is better than Sam Darnold. The Buccaneers' weapons are better than what the Seahawks have. Now, I get it. The Seahawks get extra rest. You're flying from Tampa Bay. Or were they in? Yeah, they were at home last week. So you're flying from Tampa Bay to Seattle. It's a long trip. I get all of it. Extra rest for the Seahawks. I get it. But I do think the Buccaneers can win this game. I think that's definitely on the board. So the fact they can lose by a field goal and cover the spread, too good to pass up.
I don't buy the whole travel thing. I'm sorry. I don't. These guys are flying freaking nice jets. They got big room. They got a lot of space. They get on the plane. They play the football game. They get off the plane. They've been doing this long enough between their major college football careers and their NFL careers where it should be no big deal to travel to the West Coast to play a football game. Now, maybe being in altitude in Denver, that's a different story or something. But just as far as playing on the road, I was also thinking too, I had a lot of thoughts this weekend. I'm watching Jalen Hurts command the offense with the Buccaneers crowd going wild. And I'm like, this is NFL crowd noise should be nothing for these guys that played at Alabama and played at Penn State and Georgia. It just really shouldn't be. And it's not. Like you don't see a lot of procedural penalties because of noise in the NFL.
Well, the stadiums are bigger in college. There's more fans there.
And I know the 12th man in Seattle, the 12th man's nothing like a Penn State whiteout game. It's too different. I think it's two different crowds.
I would be interested to see if we can get some sort of decibel reading on what the differences between the crowds are.
Yeah, they're professional athletes. That's the difference. So I trust them to go handle their business on the road. It's not like a team going from the West, like USC going out to play whoever they played this week and getting their doors blown off. Illinois, bad loss for them. Really bad loss. Close, but bad loss. All right, so you had that. So should I go with my second pick then, Grant?
Yeah, go for it.
Detroit Lions -9.5 against the Cincinnati Bengals. I will keep this one short. I don't think it needs a big explanation. The Detroit Lions are really good. I think the Detroit Lions are a better football team than the Green Bay Packers. And I think that week 1 game between these two teams really warped our perception for at least a short period of time. The Lions were tanked in the NFC Championship rankings. They were like 10-1 after losing that football game in the NFC Championship. They're right back up there. Green Bay coming off a tie against the Dallas Cowboys, who I do think have a very strong offense. They don't have a great defense, and we saw that. Obviously, they put up 40 points. But yeah, just looking at this game overall, I don't believe that the Cincinnati Bengals offensively can keep up with the Detroit Lions. The Lions have a better defense. They have a much better offense. They're going against a very weak defense in the Bengals. I mean, the Broncos scored 21 last night. I think it was 21, 24, 21 in that range.
Wait, sorry. Which game were you talking about?
Broncos scored 21 last night on the Bengals.
28, I think, right?
28, whatever it was. It doesn't matter. The Lions are 10 times better than the Broncos offensively. 10 times better. They'll put up 55 points in this game. You'll get the Bengals doing 14. Easy cover. It's a game. This is a game of like last week, Lions going against the Browns. The Browns defense is going to be pesky for a little bit. Their offense going to move the ball a little bit, but over the course of a game, the Lions are going to score more times than the Browns. I think same thing here.
Yeah, this is a stay away from me, I'll be honest, but I do understand the logic. Jake Browning was a good backup quarterback in 23 when he came in, and he could score a lot of points. So I'm waiting for that to happen again, and we kind of saw it in the Jags game, but he also threw 3 interceptions in 3 quarters. So I feel like that moment could happen, but the Lions also, what do we know about them? They run up the score against bad teams. The Bengals right now are a bad team. Their defensive personnel is still terrible. Browning turns the ball over / can't get first downs. And Zach Taylor is one of the worst coaches we have in the NFL, maybe the worst. So it is a stay away from me, but if I had to pick, I would be taking the Lions.
Yeah, definitely. All right, Grant, give me your third pick now at this point. Pick number 3.
Yeah, my third pick. So I will go with the Las Vegas Raiders at +6.5. I know you're not a Raiders guy, so you might need me to talk you through this one. If you look at just the Raiders' general play, yards per play, success rate, which is a measure of staying ahead of the chains, they're actually solid. They're close to league average. The defense also in a bunch of different metrics, right about league average, actually a little bit better than that. The Colts had this red hot start to the year. I was waiting for them to come down to earth, and they've got a really good coach in Shane Steichen. So it was still a tough win for the Rams last week. The Colts played well, 1-score loss, but if we're looking at a 6.5-point line, they wouldn't have covered that. And it was actually a 3.5-point line, as we know. But the Raiders here, this is all I have to say. If Geno Smith just don't throw multiple interceptions. He didn't throw any in the Commanders game. If you take that out, he's got 7 picks in 3 games, had 3 interceptions last week. If you just, let's at least keep it just to 1 interception. Can we do that? Because Daniel Jones threw 2 picks last week. I know Daniel Jones was an MVP candidate through 3 weeks. We've got however many years of Daniel Jones of backlog. We know what type of player he is. He's going to look better with Shane Steichen than he did any time during his New York Giants career, but still, we know that he's not an elite quarterback. If you're the Raiders, you finally got Ashton Jeanty going last week. Not that it's been any problem of Jeanty's. It's been the terrible offensive line. But you know what? The Colts, they aren't amazing in the trenches themselves, at least defensively. It hasn't looked like that so far. And I feel like you can get at this defense more than teams had so far up until that Rams game. So I do think the Colts will win this game, but it is a 6.5-point line. It's a big line. Geno, do not throw multiple interceptions. You can cover.
Yeah, I like it. I don't have much respect for the Raiders. That's my biggest look.
Yeah.
Come down to earth, but it's a really tough game to bet. I think 6.5 probably feels a little too big, but I also could see the Colts probably covering it more than the Raiders.
Yeah, I know you're not a Raiders guy. We've had that conversation this entire season, so I didn't expect you to like it, but it's one of my 5.
All right, so my third pick, I will go with the New England Patriots +8.5 at the Buffalo Bills. I think when you're looking at the New England Patriots right now, at least, they got a team that is finding themselves. I'm not saying they're there yet by any means, but that was an impressive win against Carolina Panthers. You did what you were supposed to do, and I think that's the first sign of a quality football team. The games you're supposed to win, you got to be able to go out and win easily in those games. And they did that. Drake May looked really good doing the Cam Newton Superman pose in the end zone, which I thought was a little crazy for where we're at right now with Patriots football. But he looked solid in that game. The Buffalo Bills struggled against the New Orleans Saints. If the Bills struggle as they did last week, this week, which I don't necessarily think they're going to, Patriots could win the game outright. But 8.5 points is a lot in the division game. You're talking about a division that I think is not close by any means. The Bills run the division, but 8.5 points from the first place team to the second place team, when the second place team has a lot of good pieces on it, is just a little too much. If you can neutralize Josh Allen, if you can slow him down, I think you're going to keep the Bills to a reasonable enough score where you can be within a touchdown. If not, again, if the Bills blow them off the field, that might not surprise me. But I do think the Patriots, I trust Vrabel enough to get them going to keep this one close for a division game on a Sunday night primetime matchup.
Yeah, so kind of similar feeling for me. with this one as it was the Bengals-Lions game. It's a stay away from me personally. I think it's pretty close to the 50-50 line. But just like your Lions pick, if I had to take a side here, I would be taking the Patriots for pretty much all of the reason that you laid out. Got a lot of respect for Vrabel. I feel like he reinstilled a lot of the principles, the things that he holds close to him in that win last week. Now, it was obviously against the Panthers, and now you're going against the Bills. But still, that's a good opportunity to right the ship, get guys confident, remind them of what are the core principles that you hold true to yourself and to your team. And you take that into a game against the Bills where Josh Allen, and the Bills really sleepwalked their way to 30 points or whatever they scored against the Saints, but they still didn't look great during that. So could the Bills be up by 10 to 14 points for most of the game? Sure. Could the Patriots backdoor cover? Absolutely. But divisional game Sunday night, probably lower scoring, you would think, maybe trending under. So yeah, if I had to pick, I'd take the Patriots side.
Awesome. All right, Grant, give me pick number 4.
Okay, so I'm gonna go. I've exhausted my fun picks. This week it's tough to make some selections here. I'm gonna take the New Orleans Saints at -1. Now, I have said for the longest time I think the Saints are the worst team in football. This is one of the most obvious letdown situations that you could possibly find for the New York Giants. Jackson Dart walks into town, takes over the starting job. Only has 111 passing yards, but he runs the offense pretty well. Gets like however 50, 60 yards rushing, touchdown, scores his first touchdown. You go on the road, you beat the Chargers, who obviously have a bunch of injury problems of their own, but in that process, you lose Malik Neighbors, and this Giants offense was starved for weapons to begin with. Now, I get Scadabo's made a solid impact and all that, but still, now when you're looking outside the numbers, who are you throwing the ball to? Who's winning outside? Wan'Dale Robinson? I mean, Dart had 111 yards last week, and I get it again. It's Chargers, great defensive coaches over there, great personnel. Certainly, the Saints don't have that level of talent and coaching over there, but now you're without your one true guy who can go win outside the numbers every time that you need him. So if you're the Saints, what you're doing is saying, look, we're stacking the box. We're keeping Scadabo and everybody contained, and we're making Dart throw it outside to Jalen Hyatt and Wan'Dale Robinson, and we're going to see if they can beat us, and really we know that they can't. On the flip side, Spencer Rattler, look, I get it. He's not a great quarterback, but he's actually not been the worst quarterback in the NFL this year. He's actually not been close to it. He's been solid. 5 touchdowns, only 1 interception. This team moved the ball against the Bills last week, and they did cause problems for Josh Allen in moments last week as well. So I think really the only thing the Giants can point to here is, look, we've got the better defensive line. And honestly, for as talented as that defensive line is, it has underperformed this season. So I'll take the Saints at home, rookie quarterback, coming off his first win, letdown spot. I'll take the Saints.
This is my favorite pick of the week. This is my favorite. This is my favorite football pick of the week. I think the New Orleans Saints are going to destroy the New York Giants. I don't think it'll be close. I think Jackson Dart, it's one thing to go win at home. We've seen it all the time. The rookie quarterbacks come out. We saw Cam Ward's little highlight pass touchdown a few weeks ago where he rolled right, threw it back left 1,000,000 yards, and he hasn't thrown for over 50 yards in a football game this year. Jackson Dart is going to struggle this week on the road against New Orleans Saints. Saints at home are a little different. Maybe not this year because they suck, but I think the Saints come in, find a way to win. Spencer Rattler, he's not going 0-10 as a starting quarterback in the NFL. He's 0-9 right now. He will not go 0-10. Because there's only been a few quarterbacks that have ever done that in NFL history. So I don't see it happening this week. I think the Saints roll them.
I actually saw a stat earlier today, which is funny. Justin Fields in his NFL career now it's not 0-10 or anything like that, but I want to say the number was he's now 0-25 when his opponent scores 20 points.
I saw something like that too, I think. I'm going to say how many starting quarterbacks in the NFL have started 0-10 in their NFL career. Let's see if I was right about that.
I don't know if you're going to find that with a Google search.
9. There's only been 9 NFL quarterbs. Well, it's AI now, Grant. That's the new thing. AI.
Who are the 9?
I don't have the 9, but I guess I could ask it for the 9. As of the end of this is just like the Google AI. At the end of September 25, there have been 9 NFL quarterbacks who started their careers 0-10. The most recent example is Spencer Rattler, who was the 9th quarterback. I guess he already reached it, maybe.
Oh.
I guess he reached it.
All right,
he's not 0-11.
We got to go fact check that. So he's 0. Oh, I
got the list right here. I got the list. He's not starting 0-11. Okay, I guess I messed that up. But he's not going 0-11. It's so all right. Deshaun Kaiser. What happened to him?
He wasn't good.
No, he stayed in the league for a while though, I think. Jack Trudeau, Troy Aikman. Wow, that's interesting.
Wow.
There's still hope. Stan Gelbaugh, Derek Carr, Zach Mettenberger, LSU legend, I believe.
Yeah.
Brody Croyle, Warren Moon.
Huh.
All right. So you
There's
got
some
like
solid quarterbacks there.
you got like a 30% chance of succeeding. Like
You got like a 30% chance of going to the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, you do. So, well, I guess that's because all these quarterbacks get drafted to bad football teams. But Spencer Rattler is not going to go 0-11. He's going to win this week.
Yeah, I mean, -1. The money line odds are you got Saints -112, Giants 104. So it's pretty close to a pick 'em. But yeah, I don't get me wrong. Like I do think the Saints are horrible, but I like them better than the Giants.
Is that your last pick, right?
I got one more after that.
Okay. So I'm on the Miami Dolphins +1.5 against the Carolina Panthers. I think the Panthers are the legitimately worst team in the NFL. I think they are the worst team in the NFL. They are terrible. The Miami Dolphins, I know you lose Tyreek Hill now, dislocated knee, obviously, MRI, or not MRI, getting an MRI to show that he tore his ACL, MCL, whatever. Everything's torn. There's no knee left.
Yeah.
Now, you still have a lot of team speed without Tyreek Hill. I mean, Tyreek Hill hadn't caught a ball over 30 yards until 2 weeks ago. So, like you got a lot of team speed there. You got Jalen Waddle, you got Achane. You have Tua, who looks really good. The offense looks fine right now for the Miami Dolphins. I mean, just really good performance last night overall. Darren Waller catching 2 touchdowns, going from a rapper to a football player again, which is pretty impressive. So I think that they're going to get it done in this football game. I think the Panthers are legitimately terrible. And I think defensively, the Miami Dolphins are not the best, but they're good enough to beat the Panthers.
My final pick of the week is the Carolina Panthers -1 against the Miami Dolphins.
Crazy. It's a terrible pick by you.
So when you look at teams that get embarrassed, Tanner, they bounce back. The Falcons lost 30-0 to the Panthers. What happens the next week? They beat the Commanders 34-27. We see this in professional sports. Teams don't like to be embarrassed. You can say the Dolphins offense looks fine because they were doing their thing without Tyreek having the 30-yard catch. They were 0-3 up until this last week. So they weren't doing their thing. The Panthers defense is better than the Dolphins defense with all these injuries that the Dolphins have. Now, do I love Bryce Young? No, I don't. But Tua could easily turn the ball over. Tua turned the ball over. We know that about him. And he's missing Tyreek Hill. You just got to stop Jalen Waddle. And you know it's going to be Achane running or Achane catching it out of the backfield. That's basically all it is. I think the Panthers, having just been totally embarrassed, had their pants pulled down by the Patriots, I think they come out hair on fire in front of 7,000 fans in the Charlotte Stadium for Carolina, and they get a win.
No, that's for good teams. No, that's good. Good teams bounce back. Bad teams do not bounce back. Good teams bounce back. And I think Miami's just better. They're starting to, last night was a win. Honestly, you watched the game last night, you probably say the Jets could have won the game if they don't turn it over 15 times and have like 200 yards in penalties. They probably win the game last night. But yeah, I think Miami's just better offense. I think Carolina, if you bet against Carolina every single week at a pick 'em spread, you would make money. So I'll take Miami Dolphins.
You know what? I am disappointed in myself because I'm in a survivor pool, and all week long I was talking about taking the Dolphins as my pick. And obviously right now you kind of want to weed off. You want to use up the bad teams, obviously, while still staying alive. And I switched it. What?
No, that's the worst survivor strategy. You want to survive. I've used all the good teams so far.
Here, so I'll tell you. So in week 1, I took who did I take? Oh, I took the Cardinals to beat the Saints in week 1. In week 2, I took the Rams to beat the Titans. In week 3, I took the Bucks to beat the Jets. And then this past week, I took the Patriots to beat the Panthers. But I really wanted to take the Dolphins, and it would have worked out because I would have had the Patriots aren't a great team, but they're better than the Dolphins, and you would like to have some guarantees later in the year. But I'm in a good spot still because I have the Chiefs, I have the Ravens, I have the Bills, I have the Lions, I have the Eagles, I have Chargers, did I say Chiefs? I've got Chiefs. I've got Packers. I've got all those powerhouses still left. So I'm feeling good about my position.
I've used Eagles, Rams, Bills, Lions.
So you're blowing your load.
Yeah, but like the bad teams are going to get better. That's the difference. Like I'll trust the Patriots. And I did use the Patriots and some others. So I got a lot of survivor entries, but I'd use the Patriots a little bit this week. The bad teams get better. That's my opinion. If you just survivor is about surviving. I mean, like 32,000 entry. I got 36,000 in the pool I'm in right here. 19,000 are still alive. So you've already cut off whatever, 17,000 people basically, which is a lot.
I'm in a pool with some of my boys. It's only 12 of us. And I don't know why, but whoever hosted it gave everybody 3 lives. Someone's already out. They got their week 1 pick right, and they lost the last 3 weeks.
They need to give up. If you lose 3 survivor picks in a row.
So did you do all 5 or you got one more?
I did all 5 because we doubled up. I went and
okay.
Went,
so survivor picks. Why don't we throw this in here? Who are you looking at for week 5 survivor picks here?
I don't think this is another pick that I didn't talk about, but I don't think the Cardinals are good enough to be favored by 8.5 points over anybody. But the Tennessee Titans are also really bad. So, I mean, right away, you got to take the biggest favorite on the card, which is the Arizona Cardinals. If I had to give a second one, I mean, I don't love the Buffalo Bills against the Patriots. It would probably be the Lions again, even though I used them. If I'm looking for like a short survivor pick, I think the Eagles, because they just simply find ways to win week after week, and they're back at home.
Yeah, so I agree with that. The problem is if you're going to use a good team, I feel like you want to make it a guarantee. Yeah. So I don't mind the Cardinals pick. I used them in week 1, so they're out for me. I think the Lions over the Bengals is probably the safest one. But you're kind of just burning them, knowing that, okay, it's a good team and it's a team you could have in a big moment later in the season. But there are a lot of very close games on this week's schedule. I will say that much. I can look at pretty much all these games and say, I could see both teams winning.
Yeah, definitely. Well, Grant, that was another episode of Ride the Line, the greatest podcast in sports betting entertainment.
Yeah, I enjoyed that one. Some good picks, Thursday night stuff, 5 Sunday picks, Survivor talk. Had a good time.
Yeah, it was a good time, guys. So make sure you subscribe to Ride the Line podcast. We are here every Tuesday and every Friday. So make sure you do that. And Grant, why don't you take us out of here?
Guys, that's going to do it for this episode of Ride the Line. Taryn and I appreciate you all being here. Make sure you do hit that subscribe button so you're always locked in. Like he said, full-length shows Tuesday and Friday, clips coming out throughout the week. Also, make sure you hit the like button if you enjoyed this video, and we will catch you all in the next episode of Ride the Line.